Today on Rappler, Chief Justice Renato Corona's lawyers say their client wants to go back to the Senate and apologize.
And then we realized, that's suicidal, what he's doing. To not undergo cross-examination would be like a killer blow for his case.
Prosecution spokesman Sonny Angara says Corona's walkout may be a killer blow to his defense. And Jessica Sanchez loses the American Idol title to Philip Phillips. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Chief Justice Renato Corona's doctors rule out a heart attack, saying he's, quote, in stable condition. But the doctors from Medical City advise him against appearing at the Senate to avoid stress. If Corona chooses to ignore this advice, the doctors say they will ask him to sign a waiver. The Chief Justice will move out of the intensive care unit on Thursday. That brings us to the question, will Corona appear in the Senate tomorrow? Lead Defense Counsel Serafin Cuevas says he will, despite his doctor's medical advice. Cuevas says he told Corona they might think you're not being respectful of the court. Well, Defense Counsel Ramon Esguerra says the Chief Justice is determined to face the Senate on Friday. He quotes Corona saying, "I need to go back to apologize to allow questions." Esguerra tells Rappler, counsels unanimously decided the Chief Justice needs to be present on Friday to the extent that his medical condition allows. Esguerra says the consensus was reached after the backlash of Corona's abrupt departure from the witness stand, pointing out some senator judges may have been offended. Counsels deny Corona's departure was a walkout, nor was it staged. Esguerra says Corona told them his vision blurred in the last 5 minutes and he started to become disoriented. He was speaking very, very softly, but very firm in what he told us. Defense lawyers say Corona looks better and was less pale Thursday, but they claim his blood pressure was fluctuating on the monitor. Esguerra tells Rappler, quote, "Nothing will prevent Corona from coming." But he quickly adds the outcome is still unpredictable. Presiding Officer Juan Ponce Enrile gave a Friday deadline for the defense to close its case. Was it a walkout or a medical emergency? Rappler's Carmela Fonbuena caught the Tuesday chaos on her iPhone.
Order. We have not discharged the Chief Justice with due respect to him. I respect him as a Chief Justice, but this court must be respected. Sergeant Atas, sara ninyo yung testimony. Strike.
The men in blue are members of the Supreme Court security. Those in white are members of the Senate security.
Ang order ni Senate President was close all doors, right? And automatically, pagka ganyan na nakikita na namin na mayroong mangyayari, we automatically close the door. I went to the exit dito sa may Senate Lounge. Then when I was there, Chief Justice Corona with his bodyguards, sabi natin security niya, yung blue, people in blue, no? Sabi ko sa kanya, "Sir, I'm sorry." Tapos sabi niya sa akin, I think what he said is, "Are you arresting me?" And he was looking at me straight in the eye. Sabi niya, "Are you arresting me?" Sabi ko, "Sir, you know very well," sabi ko, "that in any court of law, a judge can order." But before I could finish, kasi sasabihin ko sana, and the order is to prevent you from leaving the building. Sasabihin ko sana gano'n, but before I could finish that statement, bigla sumabad si Mrs. Corona. Sabi niya, "Is this martial law?"
Aurora Representative Sonny Angara says it would be, quote, suicidal and a killer blow to the defense if Corona refuses to be cross-examined in court.
Of course, it was running through our mind. What's he up to? What's he doing? And we realized, That's suicidal, what he's doing. To not undergo cross-examination would be like a killer blow for his case, because then the court could freely dispose with his testimony, because a witness's testimony without the benefit of cross-examination is really not worth very much. The court would be free to disregard it.
When you looked at him on that day, I mean, we can see some of the video now. Did he look sick?
Not very. No. He seemed quite in high spirits and quite confident when he delivered his speech.
Angara also explains why the prosecution offered to forego cross-examination of the Chief Justice on Friday.
But looking it over, there's a few things we would have wanted to ask him, but we're willing to forego those, really, in the interest of moving forward. And we feel that even if that testimony or statement is allowed to stay on the record, if you pit it against all the evidence we presented over the last 5 months, we think we've built a strong case.
The government plans to free up Metro Manila thoroughfares by connecting the North and South Luzon expressways in 2013. Metro Pacific Tollways Development Corporation, led by its chairman Manuel V. Pangilinan, and San Miguel-backed Chitra Metro Manila Motor Tollways, headed by San Miguel President Ramon Ang, present their proposals to Philippine President Aquino on Wednesday. The road projects will link Makati City to Caloocan and Balintawak. It will decongest traffic within Metro Manila by providing an alternative route to existing roads EDSA and C5, aiming to cut travel time from NLEX to SLEX and vice versa.
When you have to ship all of this and you go by boats, you have to, if it's the Manila port, you have to contend with traversing EDSA. And that adds a significant amount of travel time. It adds pressure to your just-in-time deliveries. And it increases also yung pollution quotient within the NCR.
Let's now look at Rappler's Rap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 3, Amnesty International says the UN Security Council fails to match the courage of protesters around the world and is becoming, quote, unfit for its purpose. They say UN leaders should put rights over profits, noting its failure to stop the global arms trade. At number 4, Pakistan jails Dr. Shakil Afridi for helping the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency to collect DNA samples of Osama bin Laden. Charged with treason, he was tried in the Khyber district for running a fake vaccination program to gather information on bin Laden. The U.S. Secretary of State is calling for his release. At number 6, Germany and France are in fierce debates on existing austerity measures. European Union leaders meet as the euro hits a 2-year low. New French President François Hollande pushes his proposal for the launch of Eurobonds, which was rejected by German Chancellor Angela Merkel. The French leader says he wants to see Eurobonds in the Union's agenda for the future. At number 7, Facebook shares plunge 18% over the first 3 trading sessions, prompting investors and lawyers to sue Facebook and its underwriters. They say institutional investors may have received privileged information driving them to dump the shares at the expense of small investors. And at number 10, Sharon Stone's Filipina ex-nanny sues the film star for wrongful dismissal and harassment. Erlinda Elliman claims the actress equates being Filipino with being stupid and orders her not to speak in front of her children so they don't adopt her accent. She also accuses Stone of criticizing her religious habits. Stone slams Elliman's lawsuit as an attempt to cash in on her. Jessica Sanchez loses her bid to be this season's American Idol. In a 2-hour, star-studded finale, host Ryan Seacrest announces Philip Phillips as the winner of the singing competition. He is the 5th consecutive male contestant to win the show. The finale featured performances from Rihanna, Neil Diamond, Judge J. Lo, and Steven Tyler, as well as performances from this year's top finalists. Sanchez also delivers a breathtaking performance of And I Am Telling You, together with its original singer, Jennifer Holliday. The final performance night that featured Sanchez and Phillips singing in front of 7,000 fans set an Idol record of 132 million votes cast by America during the 4-hour voting window. Despite the grand finale, the once top-rating show in all of American television drops to 14.39 million from a high of 40 million. This is its lowest ever. If we go by total social media sentiment, Jessica appeared to be in the lead. So why did Philip Phillips win season 11 of American Idol? An analysis of geopolitical Twitter mentions of American Idol shows that while Jessica may have led in terms of total social media sentiment globally, Phillips was generally favored in the US. A study posted by Cornell University analyzes the fan base of each contestant within the US and abroad. It reveals that, quote, strong regional polarizations occur when it comes to social media chatter about the contestants. This map shows Twitter in the US favors Philip Phillips. It also shows Jessica's fan base is from the West Coast and other pockets of the US, while Philip was ahead with the rest of the country. Of course, things would have been different if the rest of the world, including Filipinos, were allowed to vote. The study says, quote, the advantage of Philip in the US is remarkably smaller than the one of Jessica in the aggregated data set, and the voting coming from abroad might have a crucial role in determining the outcome of the finale. The study also said that Jessica is the only contestant that had a strong Twitter signal originating from outside of the US and in particular from the Philippines. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, May 24th, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.